At the end of the day, using reckless language and openly repeating lies like this about Ukraine, I think is ridiculous. Antagonistic, it's negative about Ukraine. Ukraine got attacked by Russia.
I think that people are just ridiculous that they think that Putin's such this enemy. He isn't doing anything. He just wants back what was his.
But he invaded
what was his.
He invaded Ukraine, killing thousands of people.
That's fine. That's fine with me.
Do you have any message for Ukrainians who, after 3 years of fighting, might feel betrayed or disappointed at not having a seat at these initial talks in Saudi Arabia?
But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine.
Like, Ukraine got attacked by Russia. They got invaded by Russia. Like, there are Russian troops trying to attack Ukraine. It's not like Ukraine's trying to attack Moscow, right? That's not what's happening. And so, like, I don't understand. It's more complex. And no. I'm sure that it's more complex than that. But at the end of the day, all of those complexities, I think, do have to level down to, like, one or the other. And I think that really it's kind of up that Trump is saying this. Like, I'm totally against his perspective on Ukraine. I think that he's doing a massive disservice to us diplomatically. And like, it doesn't mean that I support Ukraine about everything and I want to.
I've been in the trenches and r/Asmongold. The whole stuff is turning against Trump over Ukraine. I'm surprised that he has this position on Ukraine. I wonder where this comes from.
Send troops over to Ukraine. I'm not saying that either, right? But like, I don't see why you go on national television and you, as the president of the United States, just repeat things like he's polling at 4%. Like, nobody said that. Like, he never said that. Like, it's so stupid for him to do this. And the problem, and like what
a lot of Republicans are pissed about Trump's stance in Russia. Are conservatives against Trump on Ukraine as well? Oh, his position on Ukraine has just been so it's not unbelievable. I keep saying that. I need to play video games. I hate this. He's doing exactly what he did. I don't think people realized exactly what happened with Afghanistan. Nobody actually knows. Donald Trump went to Doha with the negotiators of the Taliban, and they made a deal. Part of it was secret for negotiating total U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. And part of this deal was like, we released thousands of 5,000 Taliban prisoners. And the worst part was the Afghanistan government had absolutely no idea what this deal even was. Part of the reason why Afghanistan collapsed even faster than we thought it would when we were in the process of pulling out is because the Taliban would show up to areas and basically say, hey, this land has already been signed over to us. I don't even know why you retards are defending it. You need to get the and they'd be like, oh shit, I didn't even know. It was just like, it was fucked. This negotiated deal, quote unquote negotiation, this was just a complete and total and utter surrender of Afghanistan. Now, whether you think it was good or bad for us to surrender it is one thing, but that's all this was. And what we're seeing play out right now with Ukraine and Russia is the exact same thing. Trump flies to, I'm assuming they're in Riyadh, right? Because Saudi Arabia is overseeing the talks. Trump and Putin are in Riyadh. Riyadh. Zelensky is not invited. And what's the negotiation going to happen? What is Russia going to be giving up here? Like, who the knows? Like, so it's just like a total surrender. Except now Trump isn't even surrendering a U.S. position. He's surrendering on behalf of another country. What the does Elon mean when he says Zelensky killed an American journalist? That one guy that we hate, that we used to debate, who said I would kill myself in 10 years. I don't know how many years I have left. Coach Red Pill. He was a journalist in Ukraine. Journalist. I'm giving the biggest air quotes ever. When he went to Ukraine, I'm so triggered. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Because somebody brought up the Abraham Accords in YouTube chat as well. You don't get credit for negotiating when you cut out the most difficult party to negotiate with. Like, Who did I argue with last on stream that was saying the Abraham Accords? Well, actually, they were pretty good. You got to give them some credit for that. Fuck, this was an actual debate I had. Who was it recently? It's not impressive that you managed to negotiate some kind of Middle Eastern peace deal with Israel and Saudi Arabia and Morocco when these guys all have a super common enemy, which is Iran, and you cut the Palestinians out of the negotiated deal. Like the Palestinian is the biggest issue right now when it comes to negotiating peace. What's like a fancy thing I could say? South of Iraq and Syria, whatever the fuck. Like that's not like it's not very impressive. That was the hard part, was figuring out the Palestinian issue. Kicking that can down the road that's not really that impressive of a deal. Same thing with the Doha Accord. Is it accord or agreement, or I Googled agreement. But these talks, this is not impressive. Good job. You surrendered to the Taliban. That's not an impressive negotiation. Oh, I think I might have spoken to, it was Coleman about that. I don't know if that full video is posted yet. And then same thing with what's going on right now with Russia and Ukraine. It's not going to be that impressive to negotiate peace if we just say, okay, well, we're going to make Ukraine do a full surrender, and then boom, we negotiate. Like, where are these great negotiation skills? Like, at the very least, in an ideal world, at the end of 4 years of Trump, and this is what really pisses me off about conservatives, I should be grumbling and like, oh, Trump, I hate him, blah, 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 blah. But then conservatives should be able to be like, yeah, you hate him, but look what he did for this country. How mad are you that our economy is rocking, that we've got the strongest alliance ever, that we trashed Russia with Trump's crazy negotiating abilities, right? That we've got some of the most favorable fucking, like, how mad are you? And it's like, ah, fuck you, Trump. That should be me. But it's not. Instead, I'm just like, watch my country being destroyed and our alliance with Europe being destroyed. That speech that Vance gave was crazy. That's like a historically insane speech to go over to Europe, be like, you guys don't have freedom of speech anymore. What I saw on X. Right? That was an insane speech for Vance to give. It was an insane speech. What are we getting for all of Trump's crazy negotiating strategies? Give me one fucking thing. Like, just show me something that we're getting for this. Because there's nothing. We're not getting anything. We're not getting anything for any of these strategies anywhere. We're not getting anything at all. Except triggered. We should read The Art of the Deal. True. What the fuck? Maybe it's all in there. Maybe the art of the deal is just giving up fucking everything until somebody does you a favor in the future. I don't know, man. Jesus Christ.
Annoys me about this the most is that there are a lot of things that Trump does that I agree with, right? Like, a lot of things I'm happy about. And I think the problem is that, like, I'm not a cultist, right? Like, I've never been a cultist. And so, well, not yet, at least. And anyway, I think some people are, and they...
Have you looked at the German elections? Supposedly, I don't follow Germany close enough to know, but this is what I've been told by people that seem to follow it, and I trust them. The center party basically did really well for the elections. The AfD came in second, but they're not part of like the governing coalition, so they're not going to be part of the government, which is good. Apparently Trump, I saw truthed out. He's trying to take credit for like, oh, the conservatives rocked. Good job, guys. We're doing so well now. But like, they backed the AfD. The AfD did not win. They didn't perform as well as all these people thought they would or were saying they would on X. So that's good. So even though some conservatives in America are trying to claim that like, oh, look, the party we backed won, they did it. They didn't. The AfD did not do anywhere near as well as these people were hoping or praying they did. And they're not part of the government now. So I saw this. Really makes you think, huh? Unfortunately, community notes is increasingly being gamed by governments and legacy media, working to fix this. There's a whole lot of what in this sentence. What do you mean working to fix this? Because whatever this is kind of sounds like it's some form of censorship, no? Or regulating alternative media, no? It should be utterly obvious that a Zelensky-controlled poll about his own approval is not credible. If Zelensky was actually loved by the people of Ukraine, he would hold an election. He knows he would lose in a landslide, despite having seized control of all Ukrainian media, so he canceled the election. In reality, he is despised by the people of Ukraine, which is why he's refused to hold an election. I challenge Zelensky to hold an election and refute this. He will not. President Trump is right to ignore him and solve for peace independent of the disgusting massive graft machine feeding off the dead bodies of Ukrainian soldiers. Damn, bro. That's some good-ass ketamine. He's really watching all of his words just float out there, huh?
And so, well, not yet, at least. And anyway, I think some people are, and they feel the need to defend this. If you're a fan of Trump and you like what Trump is doing in America, it's completely okay for you to call this out and say, bro, this is too much. You need to tone this shit down. Stop doing this. You're causing us so much trouble. What the f***, right?
Jonathan Pye on Trump's Art of the Deal. Listen, Jonathan Pye, both sides way too much, which triggered me. But also, I'm tired of his little gimmick. I'm good on it. Okay.
And so that's really the way I think it. And that's the way I see it. I really don't care. Well, like, I kind of do in a way. Like, I can understand.
Oh, fuck. You were about to explain the Gonzalo Lira situation. Coach Red Pill, so he moved to Ukraine, of all places, like 10 years ago or something, because that's where you could the most 18-year-old, whatever crazy women and sex cult shit. Basically, everything people accuse me of doing, he was actually doing in Ukraine. So he moves over there. He has some place that he moves into. He does that. He wants to do that for his life. And then Russia invades, like proper, in 2022. So then when Russia invades, supposedly, allegedly, now I don't know this 100%, I don't know if this has been proven, but allegedly, he's informing on what's going on in the city of the Ukrainian troops to Russian military on Telegram. So supposedly, allegedly, he is informing on the Ukrainians to Russian advancing troops. Now, I think that the Russian troops get pushed back from wherever he was living, and then he got arrested by the FSB, I think is the special forces, the Ukrainian or internal police or something. And then I think he died of some sickness or whatever in Ukrainian custody. But people are saying that the Ukrainian police killed him, which would be insane, given that that's an American citizen, unless he renounced his citizenship. That would be crazy for Ukraine to just kill him. But was it for pneumonia? That was after he got deported and then came back. Oh yeah, I think that happened. And then I think, didn't he tweet out or telegram out that he's like, I'm going to try to flee now going into Romania, and he tried to like, I don't know, bro. Fucking dumb. Yeah, did he live stream going to the border? Do you think it's impossible that he was killed? No, I don't think it's impossible. And I think there should be an investigation. Personally, I think U.S. citizens dying in other countries is always a bad thing. And unless something has come out that's different, Ukrainians have already been shown to be a little bit sneaky, because I'm pretty sure in the beginning of the war, I think it's accepted that the Nord Stream 2 attack, that was done, I believe, by parts of the Ukraine military, although supposedly Zelensky wasn't informed of that. I don't know how true that part is or not, but I'm pretty sure that's where we stand on that right now, so I thought we did it. There was some Substack written by I wish I could remember the name, some retard. There are so many journalists that get popular writing one good story, and then they just produce dog shit for the rest of their life, but I don't know if it's been proven. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever prove it, but I thought that's where we were at right now in terms of what we expected, or what we thought, that it was, they were Ukrainian. It's not confirmed if they were state or non-state actors. Yeah, maybe. He was arrested for regularly revealing AA positions to Russia and was even caught red-handed taking pictures. His crossing the border video. Damn, I don't want to make fun of... Wait.
Stand not caring, but I do think that it's problematic. And at the end of the day, using reckless language and openly repeating lies like this about Ukraine, I think is ridiculous. Antagonistic, it's negative about Ukraine. Ukraine got attacked by Russia. Hey,
how's it going? It's been a while. I hope you've had...
I don't want to shit on appearances, but damn. Isn't he in his 40s? Or was he older than that?
Hey, how's it going?
You know what? I shouldn't even say that. It's not even that he looks like aged or that he's fucked. I think it's just that he probably needs to do something different with his hair because of how recessed his hairline is. And then he probably just needs to shave. Was he 55? I don't know if there's a wiki where it shows his age, but... After around 6 months of war, I started supporting deploying U.S. troops to Ukraine. Do you support this? Unfortunately, I don't think that's responsible. It's just too scary for nuclear powers to fight directly like that. But it would have been nice to help them more, maybe. But that's hard to... I don't know. It's a rough situation.
It's been a while. I hope you've had a good time. I didn't have such a good time. I spent 9.5 weeks in prison here in Ukraine. I've been out on bail since July 6th. Today is July 31st. And to prove the time, I just checked on my subscription. Defense Politics Asia, which is a pretty good channel, just put out a video called Niger on the Brink of Regional War. That should prove the time that I'm recording this video. Now, at the same time that I'm posting this video, I'm posting a long thread on my Twitter account. My Twitter account is Gonzalo Lira 1968. Gonzalo Lira 1968.
Can you explain how Russia would ever fire a nuke without them getting invaded? Wouldn't MAD stop them from ever doing that unless their state is at risk of being destroyed? It's just, once you've got two nuclear powers attacking each other, you're getting into an area where the public, bro, I'm going into like international relation military theory stuff that I don't have the greatest comprehension of. So this is just how I've come to understand it. So that could be totally wrong. I should just keep that in mind. But what happens is anytime a country is involved in military stuff, if you start losing soldiers or like big deaths start happening on your side, the public usually demands some kind of retribution. This is why every time somebody dies or gets killed by some country, there's immediately a statement saying, we are going to retaliate, usually followed by some kind of measured retaliation. The most recent example I can think of is when we killed, the biggest one, when we killed Soleimani in Iraq, Iran said, we're going to respond. And they attacked an embassy and then they blew up one of their own commercial planes on accident. And then it's obviously happened a lot between Israel and Iran. We're going to respond, right? You just have to do that. The scary thing is that if Russia and the United States, somebody does an explosion and a whole bunch of troops die, well, now the US has to respond. And it's like, okay, well, oof, if we start getting into a call and response, a back and forth between nuclear powers, and nukes are somewhere along this chain of response, that's just a really scary world to be in. And nobody wants to risk that, basically, because the feeling of any potential nuclear conflict is just so not good to the world. This is why Pakistan and India and China supposedly, I think, assuming I'm not spreading a meme, but I think we've looked at videos of this, but it's why when they fight each other, I think they have like areas where they don't even use guns. They just use like fucking spears and pole arms and shit. This is a real thing, okay? I'm not making this up. We always look this up every time, but I think this is a real thing. But they like agree not to use guns here, I think, so that things don't escalate or some dumb shit. It's only on that border dispute area. It's not for any serious conflict. Sure, but this is, I think, where people are scared of conflict happening is I think there's 6 disputed territories north of India, east of Pakistan, west of China. The one that most people know about is called Kashmir, but I think there's 5 other disputed. There's 5 other disputed like little things here, I believe. I don't know what the fuck they're all called. But there's like a handful of like disputed lands in here that like I think Pakistan, India, and China all fight over. I don't know what they're all called. I think there's 6 of them. Or maybe it's within Kashmir and whatever, that there are 6 different provinces or something like that. But he wrote a letter in which he stated that he had double pneumonia, pneumothorax, and severe edema. I don't even know what the fuck all that shit is.
Hey, how's it going?
Like 1 out of 3, bro? I don't want to watch all this shit.
This evil Russian propaganda. I was in prison, and I told the other prisoners how I'd been detained in April of 22, and told them in no uncertain terms not to leave the country. The prisoners laughed, and they said, you idiot. They were leaving the door open for you to leave. They wanted you to leave, less hassle for them. And me, of course, retrospectively, it's obvious, but at the time, I said, no, I can't do anything. They're telling me to stay, so I must stay, like an idiot. That's simple as that. So anyway, insofar as my current, status of being out on bail, and the judge was very clear that it was very explicit. I couldn't leave the city, I couldn't leave the country, and I had to surrender my passports. So I have 2, American and Chilean. And of course, they also confiscated these documents for my transportation. And yet, when I was released on bail, they gave me all the stuff back. They didn't put the electronic monitor, and they allowed me to keep my passports, and what's more, they have that saying that, I forget the wording exactly, I'm a little stressed out as you can imagine, but they have that saying that people are fundamentally good, but for evil to triumph, all you need is the indifference of good people. Please don't be indifferent to my fate. I ask you this very humbly. Please recognize that, the literal death that awaits me if this doesn't work out. Understand what's going on.
Jesus, the literal death. Any recommendation for a good place to start for buying a firearm for self-protection? I don't know, go to a shooting range and rent one and try shooting it. Do not buy a firearm for self-defense that you buy and you stash and you never, ever, ever shoot with. You will not be able to use it if you ever need to, and you've got a higher chance of either killing yourself or some kid grabbing it, killing themselves, than you ever using it in a good situation. So whatever you get, make sure you enjoy shooting it and you're actually willing to go and shoot it. So. The Gonzalo Lira versus Laser Pig and Destiny Roundtable. Oh, I didn't even stay for that. I left. I just couldn't. Laser Pig debated him though, so good for him. But I couldn't. It was just, we had like already started on. It's so cringe immediately.
The thing is, see, I want to do this conversation with you both as NATO supporters, and in fact, you know, I'm going to wind down, and you guys will be able to talk all you want. Get into
are we going to have an actual discussion, or is
yes,
it
we're going to have an actual discussion that's structured as I see fit. That's
okay, but then like I think we can like walk through point to point. We don't have to be like, well, he's Ukraine, so he's throwing it out to kill Ukrainians.
The first thing that we're going to talk about, and if I have to mute you because you keep interrupting, I'll mute you. When you talk about that,
let me use the restroom 1 sec.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I love the fact that we're not even half an hour into this discussion, and you're already trying to force this black and white fallacy on us.
Part of that 16,000 dead includes actual Russian troops on the ground.
Oh,
and
really?
Yes, of course. They call. What? Do you want to see the bodies?
This is me trying to find out if NATO supporters, such as both of you, are ignorant or evil.
Define evil.
The opposite of the good.
Define good.
The opposite of evil.
Okay.
You told him not to get killed before you left. Did I?
Good luck. Don't get killed. You know.
Don't get killed. Based. Okay. Could have taken my advice. Somebody said, at Destiny, I truly don't know how to process all of this as active duty military. At least half of people support Trump. My OIC does. Everyone sees against all enemies, foreign and domestic, through their own bias/lens. I have no idea what can possibly be done. It is weird sometimes how people so rigidly compartmentalize their beliefs. But yeah.
Would it give you any pause?
I don't have a problem with Russia. I really don't. I have
Why?
a problem with Ukraine. They're corrupt. I think that people are just ridiculous that they think that Putin's such this enemy. He isn't doing anything. He just wants back what was his.
But he invaded.
What was his.
He invaded Ukraine,
That's fine.
killing thousands of people.
That's fine. That's fine with me.
As a veteran yourself, does it concern you at all that Russian aggression could move even beyond Ukraine?
I don't think Putin's a problem. I think Zelensky's the problem.
Why do you think Putin's not the problem? He's the one that invaded Ukraine and has killed thousands of people.
Because Putin is trying to save his country from the likes of idiots like Zelensky and the elitists.
You know, this administration.
Ukraine.
One of the things when I had that debate is the solution, revelations, is one of my issues I noticed, because I was thinking about this again at that Bogosian event, that I need to speak in narratives more and compelling stories and all of that. And one of the other guys that was there with me kind of did that, although I'm going to be the most like autistic, discrete fact debater, obviously. But I noticed that whole like, well, you can't just argue the facts, you've got to tell a compelling story. I don't actually think that is true necessarily. I think that can be helpful. But I think one of the reasons why it's easier for the other side to tell those compelling stories is because they've already established the entire factual foundation. So for me to come and try to weave some story is really difficult when the other side's going to be looking at me like every single underlying fact is something they disagree with. Whereas for the other side, it's very easy to tell compelling stories because they already have all of the crazy conspiracy stuff as the foundation, and then they just have to tell a story basically tying it all together, which is, I think, very, very, very fucking annoying. How would you counter the Newland coup talking point? They'll spam it on Twitter under these videos. I mean, you just ask them. That came up again, and the thing I did. You just say like, what? It doesn't even. We just said we would have preferred a certain leader. That's not evidence of a coup. It's fucking insane that we would take that as evidence of a coup because we're saying we prefer some leader. Somebody sent me this, which I think was also funny on that talking point. People always say Victoria Nuland call proves it was a coup, but they somehow completely missed that in the call, they said Yatsenuk, I think isn't how you pronounce it. Yatsenuk is our guy. Yatsenuk being the leader of opposition in parliament under Yanukovych, and yet And yet Yatsenuk didn't become the president. Instead, Turchinov, the next person in line, became interim president, and then Poroshenko was elected a few months later. So if you do go by that Victoria Nuland call, the guy that she said that they would support wasn't even the guy that was eventually the interim president and then the elected president. Like no part of that phone call shows a coup or like a staged revolution. It's so stupid. Like, and even if that other guy did become president, it's just stupid. Like, well, where's your evidence? Like, because we have so much evidence on the ground of all of the revolution shit, of all the corruption that they were fighting, of the whole Euromaidan event, like the months of protests leading up to it. Like, all of this is so well documented. Like, oh, I keep saying prime minister. I'm sorry. I mean to say president, because in Ukraine, it's the president that holds the power, not the prime minister. My bad. So for who they would have preferred to be elected president. So he was the PM, but he wasn't the president. Apparently this was Gonzalo Lira's last written note. Oh, it was a poignant handwritten note. Tell my sister I have had a double pneumonia, both lungs, as well as pneumothorax and a very severe case of edema, swelling of the body. All this started in mid-October, but was ignored by the prison. They only admitted I had pneumonia at a December 22nd hearing. I'm about to have a procedure to reduce the edema pressure in my lungs, which is causing me extreme shortness of breath to the point of passing out after minimal activity or even just talking for 2 minutes. RIP. Pneumothorax is a collapsed lung. Depending on the type of pneumothorax, it can be a medical emergency versus just normal bad/needs monitoring. It's definitely plausible that a 50-something-year-old with maybe with medical comorbidities could die of pneumonia and pneumothorax. So my internal medicine friend said. Do you think Ukraine was criminally negligent regarding Serbia? I have no idea. I don't know any of the facts of how they were treating him in confinement.